Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I am for sure feeling some Monday vibes. I don't know. I feel like I felt this way for all of October, but I've been feeling really meh, like just really kind of blah. So I figured, why not just wear a blanket? Because this is my vibe right now. I just want to be cozy and under a blanket and just kind of chilling. So, for whatever reason, I don't know what's going on astrologically or numerologically or what's happening with the month of October, but it's kind of like trying to write an essay for like a university, class. It's like I am procrastinating on everything that I need to do. Like even fun things, like even things that I find joy in, I'm literally doing anything other than that. Like I have such this like resistance energy in me this month of I don't even want to tell myself what to do. Is anyone else feeling this way? Is anyone else feeling mad, like exhaustion, apathy? Not depressed because I'm pretty happy. I just feel so blah. Like I just want to hide away from the world. But of course, here I am. I do have a really awesome live video for all of you today and tons of great content. And I have wanted to talk about this concept for quite some time. I mentioned it in a couple of live videos that I used to lecture about this topic, which is the grid system. I've received many downloads throughout the years on the grid system. I've met a lot of grid workers, and it's very powerful. As a matter of fact, the information that has come through me really tells me that this is absolutely one of the most powerful assets, one of the most powerful tools that we as a humanity we have access to. Other than our own free will, which is also a very powerful tool that we have access to, we also have this grid system. So today I'm going to kind of go into explaining the grid system a little bit to all of you, and then also going into how you can access it, how you can work with it, and that will essentially give you access to infinite amounts of knowledge and information. So very excited today, even though I'm still feeling like I want to be cuddled in a blanket. Before I dive in and go into all of the Earth grid, manifestation kind of system, tickets are currently available for this November's live Galactic Federation channeling. I'm trying to think, what topic should we focus on? I guess we'll just kind of see what those beings have to say. And I want to let you know too, I will be traveling between November 9th and November 24th. I'm doing a little bit of a road trip, a little father-daughter road trip with my dad. I think it's going to be so much fun. So he will definitely come on to a live video during that time, at least one of them. And also I'm planning on doing a channeling for every place that we stop off in. So we're going up to Wyoming. We're going to check out, oh my goodness, what is it called? It's not Standing Rock. Every time I get on a live video, I miss the name of the big rock, giant rock that we're going to. Anyway, so we're going to go there, and that's a very sacred, powerful land. I believe a land with the Hopis, but I'm not sure. And then we're going to kind of drive across Oregon, and we're going to hit up a bunch of really cool hiking spots in the big redwoods. So, I'm definitely going to do some really interesting lives, and I'll try and keep up with my normal schedule. So you guys just know it's going to be Mondays and Sundays or what have you. So anyway, because I am traveling on November 11th, I'm going to do the Galactic Federation channeling event on the 8th. That's a Sunday, so it's a very easy day for a lot of you to kind of leap into. So it's going to be November 8th, once again, for the Galactic Federation event. That's just $11 and tickets are up now. And then I am planning on doing a very special video for 11/11, and I also have a huge release of something very exciting coming out on 11/11 as well. So keep that in mind. Seed is planted. Other than that, once again, as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and comment in the comment box below as well. So today, my intention for all of you is to give you the information so that you can access infinite information. Yes, give you the information so that you can access the cloud storage of the planet, right? The grid system. So my history with the grid of planet Earth, years and years ago, about 10 years ago, when I was around 18, I started channeling, astral traveling, and one of my favorite places, and I would always tell my university friends this, one of my favorite places to astral travel to was right outside of Earth's atmosphere. And I just chill there. And the reason why I was so fascinated is because there was so much activity going in and out of the planet, right? Of like UFO activity. So yeah, so that was very interesting. You know what just came to me? You know what just popped into my mind? What if there has been a huge cover-up with NASA? What if there has been a huge cover-up with CGI imagery, but the reason why isn't because the Earth is flat, it's because they're trying to cover up aliens? It's a very curious thought that just popped into my mind, right? Because sometimes when I take a look at these NASA videos, I don't know. Like, I definitely feel like something's going on there. There's some sort of cover up for sure, but it may not be the whole flat Earth thing that a lot of people perceive. You know, maybe that's it. There's something going on. Maybe it's just aliens. Maybe the answer has been in front of us this whole time, right? It makes sense. There's literally so many UFOs and spacecraft going in and out of Earth's atmosphere. Yes, some of them are cloaked. A lot of them aren't. And, you know, they do have cameras and shuttles and stuff like that up there, you know? So how much effort is it going to take to hire a graphic designer 24 hours a day to cover up these UFOs going in and out of Earth's atmosphere? Like, come on, right? I don't know. It's very interesting. It's just a whole world. I'm digressing. But when I started astral traveling off this planet is when I first got introduced to Earth's energetic grid. And the way that I see it visually, so when you astral travel, it's almost like you have different variations of visions, right? Like I said, a lot of the physical stuff in your reality. So if I were to astral travel over to your living room, okay, I would be able to see your living room. I would even be able to, this is just me, I think there's other people who astral travel maybe a different way. I don't know, I've never really gotten training on it. I would be able to see your living room. I'd be able to see even like the color of maybe the sweatshirt that you're wearing. But as far as like maybe a logo that was on your sweatshirt, it would be very difficult for me to fine tune myself with that much detail. That's just for me. It's almost like a dream. It's almost like kind of like a hazy scene, right? And the other vision that you can have with astral traveling is an energetic or vibrational vision. And that means that I could astral travel over to your place, and not only would I see the physical furniture in your living room, but I would also be able to see ghosts and spirits walking around as well, right? So it's just these alternate visions of, you know, the astral realm, I guess. Anyway, so I was able to see Earth as its physical wholeness, but I was also able to perceive and see this grid system looking very like longitude, latitude, sort of way, right? Very kind of horizontal and vertical. And, not necessarily flower of life kind of stuff, but very, very structured. And I remember the one day years ago, I asked my buddies, the Galactic Federation, because I know that they knew a lot of information. And I said, what is this? Like, what am I looking at? And this is how they explained it to me. So I'm going to try and explain the grid system the best I can. Once again, this is not from a book or another channeler. This is just how I understand it. If it resonates with you, fantastic. If not, that's okay too. So how I understand the grid system is, there's a lot to it. It's pretty simple, but there's a lot to it. So there are energetic and vibrational lines across the planetary surface of Earth. And I like to call them energetic meridians, okay? These ley lines, that's literally what they're called. They're called ley lines, right? And so when these energetic lines intersect and cross over, they create a portal or a vortex. And there's so many different things that we can do with portals, vortexes, or stargates, as some people call them. And one thing that I know for sure that these vortexes do is amplify energy. It amplifies energy. So years ago, when the Galactic Federation was explaining all of this to me, one thing that they said that really stuck out, that I was once again lecturing about for quite some time, is that the grid system around planet Earth is manufactured. It was manufactured. They said that this is not naturally occurring in the universe. And I also want to make a mention of there is a natural torus field around every living thing. Everything that has consciousness in the entire universe has this vibration, this torus field. The torus around planet Earth is very different, although it is still energy and frequency and electromagnetism, very different than the grid system, the energy grid system. Now, as far as the energy grid system being identical to the ley lines scientifically and the longitude, latitude, I don't know what the comparison is there. I just know that there is an energy grid system. And it's really cool. So when I see it, I see all of the portals and vortexes on the ground kind of thing. And then above that is the grid, the energy grid. And basically this energy grid system allows us to connect to a quantum field. It allows us to connect to cloud storage. And I've talked about 5D cloud storage before. So within us, energetically, we all hold all of the information and knowledge from all of our past lifetimes and subsequently all of our future lifetimes as well. The planetary grid system is very similar to the system that we have within ourselves. It holds and stores all of the knowledge and wisdom from all of the beings and all of the generations that have ever been on this planet. So it allows us to access this akash of infinite knowledge and wisdom. It's like a library for us. And what the GFL told me was that many, many years ago, this grid system was manufactured and created by the good guys, I'm just going to call them that, by the good guys, and this was supposed to be a gift to us. They knew what we were getting into. They knew the kind of suppression and repression and limitations we were going to have on us. So they built this grid system to help us out. Yeah, very interesting. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. There's a lot of information here, so I want to make sure I get to all of it. So then the other thing that I thought was really cool and really profound about the energetic grid system, this comes through from one of my lectures. What's really cool about the energetic grid system on the planet, right? The ley lines and then them intersecting and creating portals and vortexes. Well, if you've ever done energy healing on anyone, even if you've even, practiced Reiki, you will know that there are lines in the body that are meridians, that are energy lines in the body. And what happens when all of these energy lines in the body cross over and intersect? Many lines intersecting. It creates a vortex, a portal. It creates a chakra. The chakras in our body are the same as the portals and vortexes on the planet. And as a matter of fact, we have secondary chakras. We have a lot more chakras than just 7, right? We're moving to the 13 system, but eventually we're moving to crystalline. Now, what's very curious is that I love talking to quantum physicists, especially astrophysicists as well. And I meet them all at these conferences that I speak at, or else at least I used to meet them all at these conferences. And I had a great discussion with one of these physicists in the past year, and he was talking about something called the flux lines of the universe. And I said, well, what are flux lines of the universe? And he said, they are giant electromagnetic pathways of high intense frequency. And sometimes these pathways, these flux lines of the universe, they intersect. And when they intersect, they create what? A vortex, a portal, a stargate, right? So I'm like, I asked him, I said, have you ever related the flux lines of the universe to the ley lines on planet Earth? And he said, no, I've never thought about that before. And I said, I think there's something there to be discovered, right? So here we have it, these energetic superhighways that are everywhere, from the individual, the microcosm, all the way to the macrocosm of the universe. We find them everywhere. So what can we do with it? Right? And not only what can we do with it, but where are we moving to? Because I'll tell you right now, we are collapsing the old systems. We are collapsing the chakra system. And likewise, we are collapsing the light ley lines of the planet. We are collapsing this energetic grid. Not yet, but soon. So where are we going? What's our next step? And let's just review my notes here. Okay, cool. Okay, hold on. I skipped ahead to all my notes, but this is good. Okay, yes. Okay, so on the planet, certain vortexes, there's many vortexes. There's huge vortexes, there's well-known vortexes, there's smaller vortexes, and every vortex all around the planet holds some sort of frequency of information. It's like that vortex is a gatekeeper for the information of that land. And typically, we see a lot of alignment with the ley lines intersecting, huge pyramids, huge, what are they called? Like architectural structures, Stonehenge, right? I mean, it all falls right on the intersection of two gigantic ley lines or intersection of vibrational frequency, right? Very curious. And they all hold a piece of the puzzle. Now, that's just in the vortex. What we can do is we can tap into the entire grid system to receive information from anywhere. And they did a very curious scientific study not too long ago, maybe a couple years ago, and they basically observed a monkey. I don't know what kind, there's many kinds, but a monkey in one part of the world. And all of a sudden, I don't know if they started studying the monkey because he started to use a tool or they gave him the tool to use. I'm not sure. Hopefully they didn't intervene with evolution, but hopefully they just kind of left it at it as is. Anyway, so this monkey starts using this tool to get access to more food. And within the year or within the month, another monkey of the same species, halfway around the world on some deserted island, started using the same tool, the same technique. And this, I don't know what their scientific, experiment was, but this basically proved that we have a link together. We have a connection. There is something, there's information that is being passed between each one of us that we can't even comprehend. And I believe that that's consciousness, and I believe that that is us, even monkeys, consciously connecting to the grid system of the planet and downloading information. This is how I work with all of my information. Before I hop onto a live video, not all the time, because I don't always have the time to do this, but every once in a while, I will visualize myself uploading this information to the cloud storage of the planet, to the grid system, and then a week later, I will release my video. And what's really interesting is when I do this, I'll have a lot of people say, oh my goodness, EA, like I just got that download a week ago. And I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, yeah, I just uploaded it to the grid a week ago, right? So this is what grid workers and light workers are doing. There's so many people out there who are doing the work. And I have huge props to them. I give huge props to them. So much gratitude and love because we need as many of you as possible working on the grid system right now. Because the grid has been hijacked, right? This is the problem, is that originally the grid was a tool for conscious connection from one human to another human or one species to another species all over the planet. And now we've got this situation, and this has been going on for many, many years, that the elites, whatever you want to call them, are basically, they've tapped into this grid system and they've shut down all of these portals and all of these vortexes. And they've been doing this for hundreds, if not thousands of years on this planet. The last time I believe that the entire grid system of the planet was up, active, and working was back in ancient Lemuria and ancient Atlantis. That kind of actually brings up a question, which is, what percentage of the grid system and the portals and vortexes on this planet are active right now? I'm going to ask that question to the Galactic Federation or just any being who wants to step through, or just my higher self in general. But I also want to mention too, it's kind of like our DNA being suppressed and not being fully active, and also kind of similar to us only having the 7 chakra system activated rather than the 13 chakra system activated or what have you. And I'll tell you also where we're going, because we're actually getting away from a system as a whole, and it's going to make a lot of sense to you. But I'm so curious. My analytical mind is like, where are we at? Like, where are we at with the activations? Yeah, so 1 second. Let's see if I can get this information. Interesting. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so I got a lot of different percentages. Right now we're at 58%. That's pretty good. I was surprised. I was very surprised. And when I was surprised, I also got the message that about 5 years ago, we were at, what was it, around 32%? 5 years ago. Like, we've doubled. Really, like we've doubled our activations, which is incredible. And then they said that around 2012, we were at, did they say 12%? Yeah, something like that, maybe 12 or 15% is the number that they gave, but it was low, super low of activation. So we've been doing a lot of work, and I know that there's a lot of grid workers who even watch this, and I just want to say thank you for doing that work, because you don't get praised for that. You don't get congratulated for doing that work. You don't get paid for doing that work, and I respect that deeply. And I try and do as much of that work myself as well. And years ago, when there was a natural disaster somewhere in the world or a war zone, I would go astral travel to that place. And actually, what popped up in my mind was was it the riots in Egypt? I didn't really know what was going on. I just knew that I needed to be there. So, I would go to all these different, it's a little bug. I would go to all these different places in the world when stuff was going down, and I would sit there in my astral body, cross-legged, meditating, and I would look around, and there would be hundreds of other beings, hundreds of other humans also floating and sitting and, hanging out and meditating on the natural disaster or the riots or whatever. So it was beautiful to be a part of that. Yeah, super interesting. And even the information of putting crystals back into the ground to revamp the grid system really helps and works as well. Okay, yes. So once again, guys, the grid system of the planet is one of our greatest assets. It is a tool. It is a gift, really, that was given to us quite a long time ago, and we're taking it back. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for those beautiful super chats. You're very generous, and I'm very grateful, so thank you. Yeah, okay. So once again, the grid is cloud storage for humanity. And one of a huge download that's come to me recently in the past couple of months was how the elites hijacked a huge vortex that's actually right here in Hollywood. And I was always wondering why I came to LA, because I call LA the snake's pit. Like, really, truly, coming from, like, Canada, smaller town. It's like, I'm like, why did the universe bring me here? This is ridiculous. And I'm glad that I'm here now. And I've obviously met the love of my life. But yeah, and so it wasn't until the protests for the children, I don't know how long a couple months ago. And we were like literally yelling, "No more adrenochrome," and walking down, Hollywood Boulevard with all of the stars, right? And I could feel it. I could feel the vortex that was right there, this huge vortex. And it was dark. And as hundreds of us walked, waking the people up, and so many people were rallying together and understanding the truth, we were transmuting the energy of that vortex in that moment. And that's why I knew, that's when I knew why I was here, why I was brought here. That's why so many light workers have been drawn to LA. It's to transmute the darkness of the vortex that has been creeping in Hollywood since the dawning of the entertainment industry, right? And so they've hijacked it. They hijacked this huge vortex. And the vortex in Hollywood has disseminated all of this icky, gross, disturbing, subliminal energy to the rest of the world. That's what vortexes have the power of doing. Now imagine taking that huge influence and that huge vortex and transmuting it to light and love and gratitude. What a gift we can give the world. And in a way, I feel like my job here in LA is done. And that's why I'm being drawn back to Canada, right? Organically, naturally. So it's quite incredible. So we're taking these vortexes back. So let's talk about how to connect with a vortex, how to connect with the grid system. Okay, cool. I have an example. This is really interesting. Yes, okay, I have an example for number 3. But working with the grid system is also technically working with the quantum system on this planet. So if you want something, you kind of upload that thing to the quantum grid system of the planet. So if you're like, I want an apple, or such a silly example, and you like visualize it and you upload it to the grid system, it won't take long before literally you come across an apple. Maybe it's like the Apple logo on, your TV screen. Maybe it's a neighbor of yours eating an apple in front of you, right? Or whatever it may be, but you will manifest that back when you upload it. So uploading information, uploading questions, uploading things to the grid system is going to allow you to receive and download that back. So this is how you connect with the grid system. So hopefully you have your notebooks and your pens, because this is a pretty good overview of how to connect. Okay, yes. One more thing before I go through the steps. So when I was meditating before this video and I was tapping into the energy of the grid and seeing what everyone needed to know, what came through that was really interesting is, I want to mention this before we get to the steps. The grid system is shutting down. I don't know how else to say this, and I was kind of worried. I'm like, this is our greatest tool and it's shutting down? Like, what's going on? Like, where are we going? Like, what happens? And what the information that came through was Okay, so we're still going to have the portals and the vortexes on this planet connected to this planet, but the grid system above that is going to be at a certain point, and they said this is like 50 years down the line, but it's no longer going to be needed. And the reason why is because we have all transmuted into crystalline energy frequency. We've transmuted into crystalline frequency. When we transmute as a humanity and as an individual into crystalline frequency, we also transmute the chakra system within our body. And if you think about individual vortexes or portals, they all hold a certain specific frequency signature. Ultimately, we no longer need to travel to certain places in the world to pick up on those particular frequencies in order to get fractals of source consciousness. Do you see where I'm going with this? That's a very linear way of existing. Well, this portal in Mumbai holds this energy. This portal in Peru holds this energy. No longer do we have to only be there to access that. No longer do we have to work on our throat chakra to speak our truth. We are collapsing these old fractal systems of energy so that we can go into unity consciousness, which is essentially Christ consciousness, which essentially is crystalline consciousness, which means that we don't need to fractal ourselves anymore. We don't need to be one or the other. We don't need to work with a system. We don't need an engine anymore. Does that make sense? We become everything and nothing in our individualized incarnated states. Very interesting stuff. That's where we're going at an individual level, and that's where we're going at a collective level. So at first, my human was a little worried and freaked out that, oh my goodness, what are we going to do without the grid system? And then I realized, oh, okay. The other thing too that I received before hopping into this video is when we want to access the grid system. Now, we're still going to have the grid system, like I said, could be another 30 to 50 years, right? That we're going to have this old system. That's totally fine. But let's utilize it while we have it, right? Like really, truly. And so what was shown to me is that, you should probably know this, but you have an energetic cord going from the top of your head into source frequency. Then, as a human being, you have a grounding cord going from the base of your spine into the center of planet Earth. So what was told to me is we don't have to astral travel. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to seek anything outside of ourselves in order to tap into this grid system. So what was told was that we can tap into it through our source cord that is from our top of our head, right, into the grid system, or we can actually tune into our grounding cord, our Earth's grounding cord from the base of our spine. And what I saw was this cord goes all the way to the center of planet Earth. And then from the center of planet Earth, it will go to the right vortex, because once again, we're still stuck in the limitations of the fractal energetic system. So if, say, for example, I needed to pull upon some deep shamanic teachings from a lifetime doing plant medicine in Peru, guess what I would do? I would utilize my grounding cord to anchor into the planet's energy, and then the cord would pop up through the earth into the Peru vortex, and then I would receive the information that was waiting for me there. We don't have to go anywhere. It's all within. You have the ability to access it. So that's just what I saw visually as far as how to access this energetic grid. Okay, so yeah, step one. This is always the first step. This is always the first step. And maybe you guys are going to give me a little eye roll, but step one, quiet your mind, right? Us as human beings, we're so distracted. We're so shiny object over here. Quiet your mind. You will not be able to go anywhere or get anything from the universe or any other source if you don't quiet your ego, human 3D mind. And it's okay. We can totally honor the 3D mind, but we have to quiet it. So that's always the first step. So how to connect to the Earth's quantum grid? Quiet your mind, quiet the reaction. Okay, step 2. Oh yeah, this is very interesting. What did I write down here? Oh yeah, get through the chaos with intention as direction. And I'm going to just explain that a little bit. Get through the chaos. I bet you anything, most of you have actually had this experience. And the experience that I'm talking about is you're sitting in meditation, you're heightening your vibration, you're quieting your mind, you're not thinking about anything. Then all of a sudden you start hearing a conversation off in the distance. Or you start seeing these weird flashes of color or images, or, all of a sudden it feels like you're in a crowded room and you've got all these, voices chatting all at the same time. You're tapping into the collective projections of the realities of 8 billion people. Just an FYI. We need to realize that in tapping into the grid system, and that's a good thing, right? When you start hearing and feeling chaos and feeling the overwhelmed energy and feeling like all of a sudden the room is full, that's a good thing because you're tapping into the collective, you're tapping into the grid system, but also maybe not a good thing because most of us, myself included, I've done this many times, I shut down. I'm like, nope, no thank you, not today. I'll go back to my quiet mind. When we start tapping into the collective, we're tapping into chaos. We actually need to raise our vibrations a little bit above that place in order to tap into the everything that exists all at once. So what I put here is get through the chaos as step number 2 with intention as direction. So let me just put it into perspective, okay? Pre-COVID, if you were to walk into a mall, and I'm like thinking to myself, I haven't been to a mall in like years. Such a funny example, but say for example, you walk into a mall or like a busy grocery store maybe, right? And you're just in the middle of the mall. And there's all these people and all this chatter and all these talkings and all this, the food, the shops, the information, the libraries, whatever you want is all around you. But if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what you want, you're going to be just stuck there in the overwhelm. You're not going to actually move forward to anything. You're not going to actually be able to receive one thing. You've just opened up all of Google. Google's not going to tell you anything unless you type into its search engine what you want. That's how the grid system works. Once you arrive, you're there. Most of us don't know how to navigate it, so we just get out of it. It's overwhelming. And then we don't really tend to go back. So, all you need is a focus and a direction that you can create through intention. So before you choose to tap into the Earth's conscious grid system, ask yourself, what do you want to do while you're there? Do you want to heal the Earth? Do you want a healing yourself? Do you want to upload information? Do you want to download information? What are you doing there, right? Once you have that intention, you can cut through the chaos. But most of us just tune in to the grid system, and it's so chaotic that we tune out almost right away, right? So step number 1 is quiet your mind. Step number 2 is have an intention. It's going to allow you to navigate. It's going to allow you to have a direction. Okay, and then step number 3 is, yes, this is really interesting. Be open to the way that you receive the information. Yes. Be open to the way that you receive the information. Maybe it is a visual. Maybe you are hearing things. Maybe you feel it in your body. Maybe you feel an emotion, right? Maybe thoughts just randomly pop into your mind. Be very aware of how you're receiving information. Everyone is different. Everyone is different with how they receive information. And I feel like for me, it's probably, like, I don't know, I would say like the visual aspect is one of the easier aspects. even though you can still chalk it up to, am I just projecting this thought? But that's just my perception, because that's all I can do really is that visual. So it's easy for me because that's all I know, right? The clairaudient, the feeling, the physical empath aspects of tapping in, I don't really know any of that stuff. But be aware of how you receive the information. It's not going to be visual, well, it might be, right? But everyone receives information in a different way. So really pay attention. And I wanted to give you an example. Yeah, this is really funny. So many years ago, I don't know, do I call myself an inventor? I basically has been very inventive my whole life, let's just say. So, and it, if you're thinking, oh, Elizabeth April invents things, you're probably thinking I'm like Tesla and inventing some sort of healing device, technology. And it's not that at all. It is the most simple inventions that you could ever think of. I'll give you an example of a couple of them and you might roll your eyes. One of them, because I snowboarded for such a long time and I would always throw my mitts in the wash and the wash would never wash the inside of my mitt, I invented a snow glove, a mitt, whether it was with the fingers or all the fingers together, and I just added a zipper, just a zipper right down the middle of it, so that when you go to wash your mitt after a whole day of gross snowboarding and you're sweating, you just unzip the mitt and you throw it in the wash, right? It's such a simple solution. It's all about efficiency, effectiveness, and making things more intuitive. Another invention that I had was, I still think this is a great idea, because I would drive all the time and get stuck in Toronto traffic, was the back of car lights, okay, so the brake lights, the harder you slam on the brakes, the brighter the red brake light goes. So if you're going, 100 kilometers an hour down a highway, and then all of a sudden there's a traffic jam in front of you, you know exactly how hard they're braking because of the intensity of the brake light in the back of their car. Come on, this is why don't they implement this? If one car company did it, they would all do it. It's the simplest thing that is safety, right? Anyway, so I was just in this space where so many inventions, but to patent an idea for 1 year was $5,000. It's a broke ass student. I'm I can't afford to patent my million ideas, So I would upload them to the cloud, right? So my dad was an app developer back in 2001 or I don't know what, when apps first came out, maybe it was 2006 around there. I don't know what is time. But, I gave him an idea. I said, Dad, I have an idea for an app that you should develop. And the app was so silly. It was an iPhone background for the back of your app background, the back of your home screen, I guess. And it would have you could have little boxes for all your apps and you could have funky images. And I said, you sell that for $1, you're going to make a killing because this is what I want and there's nothing out there like it. What happens is 2 months later, all of a sudden the app's out, it's making a killing, right? Same thing. I had this idea where it was a children's, what was it? Oh yeah, a car seat for children that actually folded up and transformed. One was a backpack, right? And one was a stroller. So you had kind of dual use, especially for parents who don't have their own cars, who have to take their kids on buses or on taxis or whatever. And what happened was, a month later, a friend of mine sends me an article and this guy develops the exact product that I was tuning into. And he got $1 million in funding or something crazy. And I'm what? This is actually legit? So it's really funny. So then it begs the question, right? What came first? Was it their idea that they were picking up on from me? Or was it me picking it up from them, from the grid, right? What came first, the chicken or the egg? That literally, that question is such a conundrum in my own mind that it just kind of spins me out. It's I don't know. Was it my idea or was it his? Right? Probably his because, he just got funding and it was probably in the works, but I was tuning into that, right? So because my mind years ago was in this mode of inventing and making the world better in very small ways, I was tuning in to all of the inventors probably in this world and pulling ideas. So if you're obsessed with telepathy, all of a sudden you're tuning in to all of the people all over the world who are practicing telepathy, right? And you're accessing that information. So just be aware that you're accessing the freaking grid system without even trying. All you have to do is ask for what you want, and all you need to do is understand. You don't even need to do anything. You just need to understand that it's possible to access infinite information from the collective. And once you understand that that's possible, anything can happen after that. You have Google in front of you all the time. All you have to do is listen. That's probably the hardest part about tuning into the grid system. So, with that being said, just a reminder that for all of my members, the Q&A post will be posted right after this video, so please check that out in the community section. I see that last time not a whole lot of you commented back, so definitely check that out. And this week is going to be open Q&A, so ask me anything that your little heart desires, and make sure that you upvote on the questions that you want answered, even if it's your own, you know? So love you guys so much. Keep up the good work. Be sure to check out the Galactic Federation event on the 8th, and also the October event is still up for the recording if you want to check that out as well. Have a beautiful rest of your Monday. It's okay to feel blah. It's okay to feel apathetic. It's okay to crawl in your bed and watch Netflix all day, because that's what I'm about to do. Love you all. Bye.